Hey guys, what is up? It's Duncan, and today I'm here with a video that's going to be outlining what Sony's new plan is. Recently, some information's come out, and basically in a nutshell, Sony is about to be starting to compete with Apple in a big way. They're about to expand the PSP out into a line of a phone to fight the iPhone, as well as possibly into a tablet to fight the iPad. Now there's all kinds of different things they've talked about and all kinds of reasons why this is going to be true. So I'm going to go ahead and run you guys through everything we know right now and everything that we expect that's about to happen. Anyway, let's get this one started. Hey guys, so this all has really come about mostly from a post on the Wall Street Journal. And to sum it up, they basically say that that Sony is about to take the PSP line and expand it out into basically an iFighter line. And that makes no sense, but basically they're going to go after the iPhone with a phone version of the PSP, or a PSP phone, whatever they're going to call it. Also with a PSP tablet, PSPad, or whatever they want to call it, I don't know. There's some evidence in that makes a lot of sense, but there's also a lot that they've said previously which makes me really believe this. People have been talking for a long time. If you don't know, Sony has a division called Sony Ericsson, which is their phone division. So Sony makes phones. They make some pretty high-end phones usually, but Sony has their own phone division. And people have, for the longest time, been talking about, hey, wait, why doesn't Sony merge the PlayStation or obviously the PSP, merge some PlayStation elements into a phone to really fight the iPhone? People have been talking about this for, 3-4 years, for a long time. And it's really, we've seen a few prototypes, but mostly a lot of weird renders and everything. You guys will be seeing a few of them right now. But really, it's never been totally, it's mostly like, in a concept phases and everything. We've never really actually seen any real evidence that they're actually really going for it more than, just maybe making a prototype or something like that. But this really does make a lot of sense. If you look back at the PSP Go, which was launched last year, the PSP Go really took the PSP and brought it a lot closer to the iPhone in several different ways. For one, it totally just got rid of the UMD format. So it was all digital downloads, exactly like on the iPhone and iPod Touch. Okay, that's one big step. It also totally, like I said, ditched the UMD and went with a flash drive. So everything, your music, everything, you don't need to be worrying about memory cards. It's all stored on the one device. Okay. And lastly, it actually brought over some iPhone apps, such as Hero of Sparta and their iPhone, the PSP Minis, which were they're called, which are basically very similar to apps. It's just download only, and usually cost less than the $30 to $40 that it would cost for a normal PSP game. So the PSP Go was a big shot towards catching the iPod Touch mostly, but it has not done so well. But that's a whole different deal, and I don't really think that should discourage them that much, because it was still a pretty good shot, and it does make a lot of sense. So if you look at that, and obviously they've been trying to put the PSP and merge it with the phone for a long time. So that part I have no trouble whatsoever agreeing with. It sounds just fine, and it does sound like both the tablet and the phone should be launched by the end of the year. So the phone part, I'm 100% okay with. I totally think that would be a really good deal. So now let's go to the second part, which would be the tablet. Okay, so when we start thinking about the tablet, everybody, tablet, we've been waiting for it and waiting for it, and it's obviously the iPad. And a lot of people have some pretty decent problems with it, and I can entirely understand that. But the fact is, it's still a pretty solid product, very cheap price, and no matter what, the way Apple's going right now, it'll sell millions. It doesn't matter if it's, people get it and they're like, oh, this is bad. It's still going to sell millions. So they're really starting a market for tablets right now. There have been tablets for a long time, but really I think the iPad is really going to be the trailblazer for the new generation of, very sleek touchscreen, no keyboards, nothing like that. Just a very sleek, basically giant, like an iPhone or an iPod Touch. So Sony, very soon, it was within a few days of once the iPad was released, or announced rather, they mentioned that the tablet space would be something that they would be really interested in getting into. And now Sony, I'm sure you guys know, Sony is huge. They have all kinds of divisions, making everything from MP3 players with their Walkman, PlayStation 3, TVs. If it's an electronic, they pretty much make it. So it's not a huge surprise to hear that they're interested in doing a tablet. What is a pretty big surprise is that they would like to merge it, PSP, make it a PSP tablet or a PSPad or whatever they want to call it. Now, this could make a lot of sense because obviously the iPad can run all the 140,000 iPhone apps, a pretty good majority of which are games. So the fact that it's pretty plausible that some people might want to buy it, maybe not as specifically a gaming device, but the games would be a pretty nice factor in it. So that it's pretty interesting to think that Sony might want to go ahead and merge some PSP into a tablet. Now, as for this, there's not a whole lot to go on. No pictures, not a ton of information other than the Wall Street Journal report. But based on the fact that Sony has said that they're really interested in the tablets, I can entirely believe that Sony is working on some kind of tablet. It would make sense that if they're going to expand the PSP line out to a PSP phone, why not go ahead and extend it to a tablet? It could be pretty cool. It could be a giant PSP or whatever they want to do. But yeah, guys, so that's my rundown of the PSP phone and PSP tablet. The Wall Street Journal report, and Wall Street Journal is pretty solid, as most of you guys should know. They don't come up with this kind of stuff. So I'm putting some pretty decent. I trust them pretty decently. That report says that both the tablet and the phone should be up before the end of the year. So we're probably looking at a Christmas time, holiday, probably later on in winter of this year. So I wouldn't, get your hopes up and start saving for it right now. But the fact remains that Sony has always been able to really crank out some really solid stuff. So I would not put it past them whatsoever to make a really solid phone and even a really solid tablet. They could very well go head-to-head with the iPhone and the iPad. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much all we know so far. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I will definitely keep you updated on all things Sony, PSP, as well as all kinds of other tech stuff. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching.